You know, life has a way of piling on pain none of us ever signed up for. Some people carry guilt like a shadow, others hide scars you'd never notice, and for many, it feels like there's no way out. Stories that touch on those struggles can be tough to watch, not because they're just dark, but because they force us to confront the parts of ourselves we'd rather avoid. That's exactly why this new anime hit so hard. Chances are you've already seen people talking about it. It dropped this summer and instantly shattered expectations, becoming the first series on IMDb where every single episode scored above a 9.0. Episode 5 alone peaked at an unbelievable 9.7, and by the time the finale aired, the series was still holding strong with a 9.3 average from over 100,000 viewers. No other seasonal anime has ever pulled that off, and it wasn't just IMDb. Week after week, it completely owned fan polls, ranking #1 for 5 weeks straight, which is almost unheard of in anime history. Takopi's original sin might look at first glance like a lighthearted story, a cheerful alien who just wants to spread happiness, but if you read a little deeper, you quickly realize it's anything but simple. Beneath that bright surface lies a raw, heartbreaking exploration of abuse, trauma, and the desperate ways people cling to hope when life feels unbearable. That's what makes this story so powerful. It's not just about what happens on the page, it's about why it resonates so deeply with readers and what it reveals about pain, guilt, and the fragile, stubborn hope of healing. Before we dive in, it's worth mentioning the manga actually debuted back in December 2021, a full 4 years before the anime adaptation. For the most part, the two versions are very similar, the main difference being that the anime tones down some of the heavier moments with a bit of censorship. So with that said, get comfortable, maybe grab some tissues, and let's step into a story that's as beautiful as it is devastating. The story kicks off in 2016 when a middle schooler named Shizuka stumbles across something strange, an alien crawling out of a concrete drainage pipe. Despite his bizarre appearance, Shizuka doesn't really seem all that shocked. The alien introduces himself as a member of the Happyans, a race on a mission to spread happiness across the universe. The problem is, he's already having a rough time on Earth. He's been wandering around all day without food and is on the run, worried about being captured. Feeling a little sorry for him, Shizuka offers the alien her leftover bread. When she asks for his name, he rattles off something long and complicated, impossible to remember. So Shizuka gives him a simpler one, Takopi, because, well, he kind of looks like an octopus. And just like that, the two of them become unlikely companions. Takopi is overjoyed to have made a new friend, but while he's buzzing with excitement, Shizuka seems distant, empty even. Wanting to thank her, Takopi pulls out one of his happy gadgets, the flappy wingies, which would let her soar freely through the sky. But instead of lighting up at the idea, Shizuka declines. She says she needs to go buy a desk, though she promises to give Takopi more bread tomorrow. Still confused, Takopi asked why she turned down the chance to fly. It sounds so fun after all. Shizuka pauses, looks back, and delivers a chilling reply. Being able to fly won't change anything, and with that she walks away. It's only then that we catch a glimpse of her worn down backpack scrawled with cruel, disturbing words. A quiet but gut-wrenching hint that Shizuka's world is far from happy. Takopi is innocent to a fault, naive, cheerful, and well-meaning in a childlike way. But that's also the problem. He doesn't understand the depth of human emotions, trauma, or morality. His attempts to help are pure in intent, yet often clumsy, misguided, and sometimes devastating. The very next day, Takopi meets Shizuka again. As he's happily chatting with her, she suddenly tells him to be quiet. A group of classmates is passing by, among them Marina, a girl in Shizuka's class. At first, it looks like just ordinary middle school banter, but their conversation reveals something darker. They're laughing about breaking a desk, and it isn't just any desk, it's the very desk Shizuka had just bought the day before. That's when the truth clicks into place. Marina and her friends are Shizuka's bullies, destroying her things, mocking her, and treating her pain as entertainment. It's why Shizuka had seemed so guarded. It's what she was hiding from. Takopi, wanting to cheer her up, pulls out another gadget from his collection, the happy camera. It works just like a regular camera, but he believes capturing a memory together might lift her spirit. They snap a photo, smile briefly for the lens, and then Shizuka leaves. But Takopi can tell he hasn't really helped, not yet. Days pass. Over and over, Takopi tries to make Shizuka happy, but nothing he does works. Then on the 6th day, something changes. He visits Shizuka's house and meets Chappie, her dog. For the first time, Takopi sees a genuine smile on her face. It becomes clear why. Shizuka quietly reveals her family situation. She doesn't have a father, and her mother, working as an escort, leaves her alone most of the time. The only real companionship she has is Chappie. And though her life is filled with loneliness and cruelty, she holds on to one fragile truth. As long as Chappie is with her, she believes she can still be happy. One night, Shizuka and Takopi take a quiet walk together. Takopi promises her that no matter what, he'll keep trying until she smiles for real. For a moment that breaks through her wall, she thanks him and gives him a small, fragile smile before heading home. But that fleeting happiness doesn't last. The very next day, Shizuka shows up battered and bruised, clutching Chappie's leash with a blank, depressed look. She tells Takopi she fought with her friend. Wanting to fix things, Takopi gives her a gadget called the happy ribbon, which ties two people's fingers together so they instantly reconcile. For the first time, Shizuka accepts one of his gadgets, something forbidden by the rules of Happy Planet. But Takopi, eager to help, lets her keep it. That night, worried, he visits her home, and what he finds is devastating. Shizuka, broken by relentless bullying and the loss of her beloved Chappie, has used the ribbon not to mend a friendship but to take her own life. Takopi arrives too late. At first, he can't even process what's happened, but when it sinks in, he's crushed by guilt. If only he hadn't broken the rule. If only he hadn't given her the gadget. Maybe things would have been different. But then Takopi remembers something, the happy camera. It doesn't just take pictures, it can send him back to the exact moment when the photo was taken. Desperate to undo what happened, Takopi rewinds time. This time, he hides by disguising himself as a flower and follows Shizuka to school. But here's the tragedy. Even when faced with obvious bullying, Takopi doesn't truly understand it. He misreads everything. When Shizuka suffers, he convinces himself that it must be because she forgot her homework. So he rewinds again and gives her the answers in advance. But it changes nothing. Marina only grows more aggressive, trying new ways to torment Shizuka. Takopi keeps interfering, blocking Marina's efforts, until eventually Marina demands to talk to Shizuka face to face. Shizuka, terrified, can't bring herself to go. So Takopi decides to take her play, using a gadget that allows him to transform into anyone with just a strand of their hair. He rushes to the meeting disguised as Shizuka. At first, he approaches with confidence, but the moment he faces Marina, he understands why Shizuka is so afraid. Marina doesn't even bother with words. She lashes out immediately, beating Shizuka down without hesitation. Even when Takopi, in his innocent way, tries to apologize and offer friendship, Marina only grows more furious, and soon the real reason behind her hatred comes into focus. Marina's father is openly cheating on her mother with Shizuka's mom. He doesn't even try to hide it. Powerless at home, Marina directs all her anger and resentment at the one person she knows can't fight back, Shizuka. Her cruelty is shocking. To show just how much she despises her classmate, Marina drives a mechanical pencil straight into Takopi's eye, mistaking him for Shizuka. The day resets once more, and this time Takopi starts to understand. This isn't some childish spat between classmates. It's far darker, fueled by trauma, betrayal, and pain that a childlike alien like him can't fully grasp. When the dreaded confrontation comes again, Shizuka reluctantly goes to face Marina. Takopi, desperate to help, summons his courage and transforms into her once more. This time not to fight back, but to ask for a teacher's help. That small action changes things, shielding Shizuka from at least part of the beating. Later, another classmate, Azuma, notices what's happening. He encourages Shizuka to speak to more teachers to tell someone the truth about her situation. But Shizuka, worn down and hopeless, refuses. And this is where the story's emotional core begins to take shape. We now have the main cast: Shizuka, the quiet girl crushed under abuse; Marina, the bully lashing out from her own broken home; Azuma, the boy who wants to help but doesn't know how; and Takopi, the well-meaning alien whose innocence collides with the complexity of human suffering. As we go deeper, their struggles intertwine in ways that are heartbreaking, thought-provoking, and unforgettable. Together, their stories form the beating heart of Takopi's original sin. And now we shift to the other side of the story, Marina's home life. After storming back from school, furious that she couldn't bully Shizuka the way she wanted, Marina walks into chaos. Her home is a mess, her mother is breaking down at the dinner table, and the source of her pain is all too clear. Marina's father is out having dinner with that woman again. Shizuka's mother. The girl who just moments ago seemed cruel and merciless now looks completely different. In her eyes we see not rage but suffering. Pain she doesn't know how to process except by unleashing it on someone else. Meanwhile, Shizuka's story continues to unravel. Episode 2 opens with the fallout of Takopi's interventions. Marina has been unable to torment Shizuka the way she usually does. For a while, things seem calmer. As Shizuka walks with Takopi and Chappie, she quietly opens up about her family. Her parents are divorced, and Chappie was the last thing her father ever gave her. It's why she treasures him so much. He's more than just a pet. He's her last link to someone who once cared. But Takopi suddenly realizes something chilling. This is the 6th day he spent with Shizuka, which means they are only hours away from the moment of her suicide. And then it happens, Marina shows up again, picking a fight with Shizuka in the street. When the beating gets too much, Chappie finally defends his owner and bites Marina's hand, but that's exactly what Marina was waiting for. She screams loud enough for the entire neighborhood to hear, painting Chappie as a dangerous, vicious dog. Her plan works. Animal control arrives and takes him away. Takopi panics. He rewinds time again and again, trying to stop it. But no matter when or where the walk happens, Marina always finds them. She's not just lashing out randomly, she's actively seeking them out, baiting Chappie into attacking her so she can have him taken away. Takopi doesn't fully understand the cruel logic behind Marina's plan, but he can see how much Shizuka is breaking. He tries everything, but in the end, Chappie is still taken. Shizuka and Takopi even go to the shelter to get him back, only to be told he can't return to her. When they tell her mother what happened, she shows no sympathy. Instead, she coldly decides Chappie will stay with Shizuka's father. Then, just like always, she leaves her daughter alone to head to work, completely indifferent to Shizuka's pain. Takopi, still desperate to keep Shizuka from falling into despair, convinces her to go to school. Maybe he thinks a change of pace will distract her, but instead things only get worse. Her classmates tease her, scold her, and pile on more humiliation. The only one who tries to reach out is Azuma, but once again, Shizuka brushes off his attempts to help. After school, Marina corners Shizuka and drags her deep into the woods. She claims she wants to talk about Chappie, but her words are crueler than ever. With a smirk, she tells Shizuka that her dog is dead and that she has nothing left to live for. Then, consumed by her own rage and broken family life, Marina lashes out violently, beating Shizuka and telling her to just die already. Takopi, watching all of this, is horrified. Every memory of Shizuka's suffering flashes before him. The bullying, the loneliness, the loss. Overwhelmed, something inside him breaks. For the first time, he feels the desperate need to protect her, and then he commits his sin. In a frantic attempt to stop Marina, Takopi swings the happy camera at her head, but he doesn't realize how strong he is. The blow is fatal. Marina dies instantly. Takopi can hardly process what just happened. He's stunned, panicked, drowning in guilt. But Shizuka's reaction is nothing like his. For her, this moment feels like a miracle. She had never believed in magic. But now, with Marina gone, she almost does. Through tears, she thanks Takopi. She smiles genuinely for the first time, believing she can finally move forward with her life. But Takopi doesn't understand. He can't grasp the weight of what he's done or the darkness that's just been unleashed. To make things worse, the happy camera, the very gadget that allowed him to turn back time, is broken from the impact. He can't undo this. He can't reset the day. This moment marks the true beginning of Takopi's story and his original sin. Just as Shizuka and Takopi prepare to leave the forest, they're stopped by Azuma. Worried about her, he had followed to make sure she was safe, but what he finds leaves him frozen. Marina's body lies motionless on the ground. The shock hits him like a tidal wave. His eyes go hollow, the warmth drained away. He can't comprehend how Shizuka, standing beside the corpse, seems so calm. He tells her the truth. Marina is dead, and that means Shizuka will be sent to a juvenile facility. For the first time, the weight of the situation begins to press press down on her. If that happens, she'll never see Chappie again. She can't accept that. Desperate, she begs Azuma to help her hide the body. She pleads with him, saying he's all she has left. Her desperation strikes something in him. Her need makes him feel important, needed, and so against his better judgment, he agrees. The plan is chilling. They'll seal Marina's body inside a happy gadget, a capsule that can shrink and contain objects. Then Takopi will use another device to transform into Marina, taking her place at home and at school so no one suspects a thing. Takopi hesitates. He asks them if this is really the path they want to take, but Shizuka convinces him this is the only way. Reluctantly, he agrees. When Takopi arrives at Marina's house in her form, he sees the harsh reality of her life. Her parents are locked in a bitter fight, so consumed by their hatred that they don't even notice him. At one point, her father even throws something that hits Takopi in the face, mistaking him for Marina, and still the argument rages on. To Takopi, who doesn't understand human conflict, it's all just noise, but for us, it's another glimpse into the cycle of pain that created Marina in the first place. While the three of them continue to scheme, another figure enters the picture. Junya, Azuma's older brother. He seems kind and earnest, the type of person trying to shoulder more than his share, but Azuma resents him. He hates that Junya works a part-time job, thinking it's unnecessary and only causes their parents to worry. The truth is, Junya works because he wants to do something meaningful. He even bought a ring for his girlfriend with his salary and promised himself he'd use the rest to get something nice for Azuma too. But Shizuka sees Junya as a problem. If Azuma could steal the ring, she reasons, the shock might force Junya to quit his job. Azuma doubts it would work, but when Shizuka says she believes in him, he agrees. With Takopi's help, they attempt the theft, but when Azuma holds the ring in his hand, memories flood back. His brother's happiness when he bought it, his quiet pride, and his promise to use his hard-earned money for his little brother. Faced with that, Azuma can't go through with it. After their failed attempt to steal Junya's ring, his phone suddenly rings, forcing Azuma, Shizuka, and Takopi to flee. They escape using one of Takopi's flying gadgets, soaring away before they're caught, but the weight of everything begins pressing harder on Azuma. He remembers all the times his mother promised him small rewards like pancakes, only to take them back because of his poor grades. To her, he was always a failure, the disappointing son who could never measure up to Junya. Those feelings eat away at him until he finally breaks down, sobbing uncontrollably in front of Shizuka and Takopi. And yet, after that raw confession, something strange happened. Three of them actually share a few happy days. They play together, laugh, and for brief moments almost resemble normal children. Only Azuma carries the constant worry of what they've done, though even he gets swept up in their little game. One day, Takopi casually mentions that his planet has a time machine. The words ignite something in Azuma if they could get it. Maybe everything could be fixed, but then Takopi admits he can't return to Happy Planet to retrieve it. Why, he doesn't know. He just knows he can't. This sends Azuma into a frustrated rage. Later, while disguised as Marina and staying in her home, Takopi's confusion grows. He wonders again why he can't return to Happy Planet. The answer is buried somewhere deep in his memory, but he can't grasp it. Distracted and vulnerable, he agrees to a reckless plan, going to Marina's father's house, believing it will somehow help him reach Tokyo and reunite Shizuka with Chappie. That night, things take a brutal turn. Marina's mother, lost in her own grief and anger, slaps Marina over and over until Takopi is nearly bleeding, but then in a moment of collapse, she breaks down. She stares at him with trembling eyes and says the words he didn't expect. She knows he isn't her daughter. Sobbing, she begs him, whoever he is, to bring Marina back to her. In her eyes, this isn't the daughter she raised. She's certain of it. Her despair cuts through Takopi in a way nothing else has. Later, alone, Takopi stares at Marina's family photos. He breaks down in tears in front of a mirror. For the first time, the truth sinks in. What he and Shizuka did was unforgivable. Marina is gone, and no amount of gadgets, no amount of naive hope can erase that. All he can do is apologize. Whispering to Marina's memory, he promises he'll do the right thing. He resolves to speak with Shizuka the next morning, but as he prepares himself, reality moves faster than he can. That same night, Marina's real body is discovered discovered in the woods. Episode 4 of Takopi's Original Sin opens with Takopi determined to finally speak with Shizuka about everything that's happened. But before he can, Azuma cuts in. News spreads quickly. The police have found Marina's body. The revelation shatters him. Azuma's eyes go blank and he drifts home in a daze, walking like a hollow shell of himself. Things only get worse when the police begin questioning students at school. The pressure grows unbearable, and during one of their secret meetings, Takopi voices what's been weighing on him. They should tell the truth. Marina's family deserves to know what really happened because they must be heartbroken. For a brief moment, Azuma seems to agree. His thoughts clear and he admits that maybe Takopi is right, but Shizuka instantly shuts it down. She doesn't care about Marina's family. Her only concern is reaching Tokyo where Chappie is. She tells Azuma she's counting on him to make it happen. And just like that, his clarity evaporates. He folds back into her plan, convincing himself he'll do whatever it takes to help. But inside, his obsession deepens. He can't stop fixating on the impossible task of making everything work, even as it eats away at him. At home, Junya notices something is wrong and tries to reach out, but Azuma won't listen. He's too far gone, consumed by the weight of secrets he can't share. Meanwhile, the police continue their investigation. They interrogate Shizuka, and although they find nothing suspicious, they're not convinced. They tell her they'll be asking more questions soon. For Azuma, the stress only piles higher. Distracted, he bombs a math test, confirming his worst fear, that he's a failure in every way. But when he gets home, his mother greets him with something unexpected: pancakes, the treat she had always promised but never delivered. For a fleeting second, Azuma believes she finally understands him. But then the truth cuts deep. She hasn't come to accept him. She's given up on him. To her, he'll never measure up to Junya. As if that wasn't enough, Shizuka delivers another crushing blow. She tells him she wants him to take the blame for Marina's murder. Azuma breaks. He reflects on his entire life, how from the very beginning Junya was better at everything, how no matter what he did, nothing could change that. He was always second best, always invisible. And now, even in this nightmare, he feels cornered into playing the role of the sacrificial pawn. Even when Junya bleached his hair and picked up a part-time job, he somehow managed to keep excelling. Good grades, helping others, always dependable. To Azuma, it felt like his one chance to finally outshine his brother was stolen. If Junya was becoming a delinquent, then maybe, just maybe, Azuma could stand tall. But it never happened. Junya remained the golden child. Their mother, a doctor, had always preached that their duty was to save lives. It became her measure of worth. Azuma absorbed those words like gospel. Maybe that's why he was so drawn to Shizuka. Helping her felt like his chance to prove he wasn't worthless, to live up to his mother's ideals. It's also why, on the day of Marina's death, he couldn't stop himself from following Shizuka. Deep down, he wanted to be her savior. The next morning, with the guilt eating him alive, Azuma decides he's going to confess everything. He's ready to throw himself into the fire. But before he can, Junya approaches. Azuma braces himself for the worst, screaming, accusations, the certainty that he's ruined their family forever. Instead, what he gets is the opposite. Junya sits with him, gentle and patient, asking what's wrong. No judgment, no anger, just concern. The dam breaks. Azuma's insecurities pour out. His failures, his jealousy, the crushing feeling of living in his brother's shadow. Junya listens, and then he does something Azuma never expected. He accepts him. He admits no one is good at everything, not even him. He even jokes that their mother's pancakes, Azuma's symbol of unreachable love, are actually terrible. And then Junya makes a promise. He tells Azuma that he can count on him for anything, and Azuma believes it because in that moment his brother is telling the truth. For the first time, Azuma feels seen, so he finally opens up about the unthinkable, about Marina, and the role he played in covering up her death. Afterward, Azuma turns himself in. The police, seeing the signs of coercion, know he isn't the true culprit, and their suspicion shifts towards Shizuka. But Shizuka doesn't flinch. She doesn't see this as a problem at all. With cold detachment, she brushes it aside, already preparing to enjoy her summer vacation in Tokyo, free of Marina, free of consequences, and free of the weight weight Azuma has been crushed under. Episode 5 of Takopi's original sin begins with a deceptively hopeful tone. For Shizuka, it's the start of summer break, finally a chance to escape everything that's been suffocating her. She and Takopi set off for Tokyo, chasing the fragile hope of reuniting with her father. For a brief moment, there's lightness in the air. They travel by boat, marvel at the crowds, share food together. It almost feels like they've stepped into another life, one where happiness might actually be possible. But that illusion doesn't last. When they finally reach her father's apartment, Shizuka rushes to the door, only for her world to shatter all over again. He opens it holding a small child. Behind him, another daughter peeks out, a new family, a new life, and no place for her. Worse still, Chappie isn't there either. When Shizuka calls him dad, he coldly brushes her off in front of his new children. I don't know why she's calling me that, he said. That single sentence cuts deeper than all of Marina's bullying combined. In that moment, Shizuka isn't just abandoned, she's erased. Her mind spirals into delusion, trying to cling to anything, while Takopi breaks down beside her. He apologizes, saying he's too weak and begs her to go back home with him. He's right, of course, they have no reason to stay in Tokyo. But Shizuka doesn't hear concern, she hears betrayal. To her, Takopi's words mean he doesn't want to help her anymore. She lashes out, striking him, her face twisted with disgust. And that's when it happens. Takopi's mind pulls him back to his first sin, back to the beginning, except this time it isn't 2016, it's 2022, and the first person to find him isn't Shizuka, it's Marina. But this Marina isn't the same cruel ringleader we've seen before. Time has scarred her, literally. A harsh wound marks her face, and the kids around her avoid her like a plague. She has no friends, no place to belong, yet some things never change. She greets Takopi with the same bitterness, calling him names and kicking him around. The cycle begins again, but this time with someone else at the center. When Marina gets home, the cruelty of her world comes crashing back. Her mother, who was already unstable when Marina was younger, has only grown more violent with time. The scar on Marina's face, it wasn't from some accident or fight at school. It was her mother who gave it to her, and the cycle continues. One night after Marina forgets something as trivial as ordering kombucha online, her mother snaps, threatening her with a glass cup as though she were nothing more than an inconvenience. Marina's house isn't just messy, it's a battlefield. But things shift when Takopi decides to guide Marina to school along a different path. That detour changes everything because it brings her face to face with Azuma for the first time in years, and in that moment, something inside Marina softens. The cold, angry girl who lashes out at Takopi suddenly finds herself feeling something she hasn't in a long time. Love. She falls for Azuma, slowly but surely, and as they begin to grow closer, Marina clings to him as her one source of hope. Surprisingly, her mother reacts positively to this change. She actually encourages Marina's connection with Azuma, as if him being good might cleanse their lives of all the chaos. For the first time, Marina begins to imagine a future where things could be different. But the shadows of the past don't disappear so easily. Azuma may be kind to Marina, but he's still weighed down by his own unresolved baggage, the same insecurities and family pressures that haunted him in the earlier timeline. And before long, those old wounds drag him away from Marina and back towards Shizuka. Why Shizuka? Because her quiet, suffering presence reminds him of his own mother, the person he's always struggled to live up to. For Marina, it's betrayal layered upon betrayal. She wanted Azuma, needed him to be the one bright spot in her life. Instead, she's left abandoned all over again. And when she realizes she can't even tell her mother the truth, that she no longer has a boyfriend to present proudly, another crack forms in their fragile bond. For Marina, everything she reaches for slips right through her fingers. Love, family, friendship, it all disappears, leaving her with nothing but pain and bitterness. Marina's fragile world finally collapses. Her mother, already unstable and violent, convinces herself that Marina blames her for everything, especially for being abandoned because of her scars. The tension explodes into a brutal fight, and in a moment of raw desperation, her mother tries to stab Marina with a broken glass bottle. While all this is happening, Takopi is struggling on his own front. He tries to reach out to Azuma, hoping to bring him closer and maybe even mend the tangled mess between him, Marina, Marina and Shizuka. But he can't do it. Every time he looks into Shizuka's eyes, he freezes. They're too cold, too calculating, almost as if she wants to keep Azuma under her control. And then, when Takopi finally returns home, he walks into the unthinkable. Marina has killed her mother in self-defense. Her hands are stained, her eyes wild, and her voice trembling with delusion. She insists that she should have killed Shizuka back when they were children, that all of this pain could have been avoided if Shizuka had simply been erased from the picture. And in a chilling twist, Takopi agrees. Blinded by his own confusion, guilt, and desperate desire to fix things, he tells Marina he'll help her. To do that, he returns to Happy Planet, determined to grab a gadget powerful enough to turn back time itself. But there's a catch. His mother, the overseer of his world, appears and begins erasing his memories. She calls him a sinner, a stain on their planet, someone who shouldn't interfere with human lives. Memories of his past, of his purpose, of who he truly is, they start vanishing one by one. Still, Takopi doesn't stop. Even as his mind unravels, he clings to one last mission, helping Marina. He uses the gadget, forcing himself through the time stream while everything he once knew is stripped away. That's why when he first landed on Earth, he was so lost. That's why he didn't remember why he couldn't go home. His forgetfulness wasn't just him being clueless, it was the punishment for his sin. Now he's back where it all began. The park. The moment when his story with Shizuka first started. But this time the choice is heavier than ever. Should he really kill Shizuka like Marina wants? Could that undo everything? Or would it only add another layer of tragedy to a cycle already drenched in pain? As he wrestles with this impossible decision, Azuma suddenly appears, searching for him. The last chapter of Takopi's original sin begins quietly, with Takopi opening up to Azuma about everything, about the gadgets, about time, about his mistakes, but Azuma can't process it. None of it makes sense to him. What he does know is that he can't keep seeing Shizuka, and that this is probably the last time he'll see Takopi too. Between the police investigation and his family's struggles, he has to let go. Hearing this breaks Takopi. He cries, begging for it not to end like this, and for the first time, Azuma really lets his own emotions spill out too. He tells Takopi that even if he's always thought of himself as a failure, Takopi never treated him that way. The little alien always praised him sincerely, always believed in him. When it was the three of them together, him, Shizuka, and Takopi, he actually felt like school and life weren't so unbearable. As a way of saying thank you, Azuma hands back the happy gadgets he had been keeping. Before leaving, Takopi notices something different. Azuma's glasses. They're new. Junya had bought them with the very last of his paycheck, just before he got fired. Now Junya might not even be able to afford college. The weight of that hits Azuma hard. He remembers Takopi mentioning a time machine, and before leaving, he asks for one thing. If Takopi ever manages to meet his younger self, tell him it's okay to fight with Junya, that their bond as brothers will survive it. Time passes, weeks, maybe more. Takopi waits patiently in the park until Shizuka finally shows up. When she does, he tries to apologize, saying he's sorry for never really understanding her pain, for not being the help she needed, but Shizuka doesn't accept it. She explodes. Through tears and anger, she screams that she never had anyone. No one to guide her, no one to support her, no one to turn to when everything in her life was falling apart. Her words are sharp, but beneath them is the heartbreak of a child who was left completely alone. And after letting it all out, she finally breaks down. She cries, clinging to Takopi, and he simply stays by her side. What follows is almost timeless. The two of them wander through the city, through the days, through their shared loneliness. There's no clear sense of how long they walk together, only that they are together. For once, Shizuka isn't alone. Eventually, they return to the same park where everything began. Takopi takes out the happy camera, the same broken gadget they used before. Even though it doesn't work anymore, he tells Shizuka that he can use what little power he has left enough to make it work just once, to capture one final memory together. But as the flash fades, Shizuka realizes what he's doing. It's too late. The price of using his power is his very existence. Right before her eyes, Takopi begins to disappear. Shizuka reaches for him, crying, begging him not to go, but the little alien just smiles softly. In his final act, he gives her the one thing no one else ever did: company, warmth, and proof that her story, her pain mattered to someone, and then he's gone. That was Takopi's original sin. After Takopi gives up his own existence, time resets once again. Shizuka, Azuma, and Marina all return to their lives, but something is different this time. They don't remember Takopi outright, yet the faint echo of their time with him lingers in their hearts, nudging them in small but meaningful way. Azuma, for example, finally admits that he fought with his brother over something as simple as a video game. Instead of feeling ashamed, he says it out loud, and that honesty makes his friends laugh and want to join in the game too. For once, he doesn't feel like he has to hide who he is. Marina still teases and bullies Shizuka just like always. But when she notices a little doodle of Takopi in Shizuka's notebook, something inside her softens. That tiny sketch sparks a fragile but genuine bond between them, the beginning of something new. Throughout the day, as these small changes unfold, we hear Takopi's gentle voice narrating. He watches from somewhere beyond, saying goodbye to Shizuka one last time. He knows her struggles aren't over and the others will still stumble through their hardships. But now he has hope. Hope that they can carry those faint traces of kindness forward, grow up, and maybe, just maybe, find their way to adulthood together. And then in a quiet, almost hidden post-credit scene, we see a glimpse of the future. Shizuka and Marina, no longer enemies, are out shopping together. They're laughing, smiling, and simply enjoying each other's company. It's not perfect, but it's real, and it's a promise that life can still change. The ending of Takopi's original sin works so well because it gives each of the main characters a conclusion that feels both devastating and meaningful. Takopi, with his innocent yet misguided attempts to fix human suffering, becomes the catalyst for all the change that follows. His fate is bittersweet. He never truly understands humans, but his presence gives the others a chance to grow. Shizuka's story is the emotional core, and the ending reflects her pain honestly while still giving her a fragile but real sense of hope. She isn't magically healed, but she finally has space to step into a future that isn't defined by despair. Marina, who begins as one of the hardest characters to like, is revealed to be more complex by the end. Her flaws, cruelty, and desperation are given context, and instead of being cast aside, she's shown as another victim of a cycle of pain. That shift adds depth and makes her ending resonate far more than expected. Azuma, though quieter, ties everything together. His guilt and helplessness mirror the central theme of the manga, that suffering can feel impossible to overcome, but his quiet perseverance suggests a kind of redemption. What makes the ending powerful is that it doesn't tie things up neatly. Life, as the story shows, is messy, and healing never looks perfect. The characters don't get fairy tale resolutions, but they do get something more real: survival, growth, and the chance to move forward. That honesty is why the ending sits so strongly with so many readers. It doesn't just tell a tragic story, it tells a human one, where pain and hope exist side by side. If you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to hit that like button, it really helps out. And if you want to see more deep dives into powerful stories like this one, subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss what's coming next. But more importantly, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Did Takopi's story hit you the same way it hit me? Drop a comment down below and let's talk about it. Thanks for watching, take care of yourselves, and as always, I'll see you in the next one.